Talking on TEDx brings stress. On the elementary school, they said to me, when you have stress, you should do one thing when you give a presentation. Change the room the way you like it. And I was sitting in that room this morning, was thinking, hey, there's something wrong with these things. There has to be made a small change to make them work. And there's a reason why the N and the R are very close to each other in the alphabet. What I want to talk to you about today is how can we make sure that sharing knowledge between people becomes part of our daily routine? How can we make sure that the workplace of the future is worth leaving our homes for? And how can we make sure that we can keep up with the pace of the world? The biggest innovation in human mankind was not electricity. It was not the steam engine. And for sure it's not the iPhone or the smartphone. It was the moment that mankind learned how to control fire. Because by controlling fire, we were able to cook. And by cooking, the nutritional level of our food raised. And by the raising nutritional level, our brain started to grow exponentially. And from that point on, we started to learn. We started to learn and to remind stuff. And it is not the only benefit we took from controlling the fire. The next benefit we took is that the days became longer. We were not longer limited to the daylight. We could sit down at the fire in the evening to share stories, to share our experience, to tell that hugging a bear is not the smartest thing to do, and to learn. And I think we are now, 1,000 years later, back at the moment where we should start making those warm places again to share knowledge. Why? Because we are giving ourselves a hard time. Today, we live in an era when you're in your 30s, and you don't have founder or entrepreneur or business partner on your business card, or you don't have those two beautiful kids on those exotic holiday pictures, you did something wrong. Hey, I was there in my 30s, even had 3 kids on those pictures. But it came with a burnout and it came with a hernia after only 10 years of those 50 years of working. It's ridiculous. And the same goes for companies and the same goes for cities. Companies are planning their moment of disruptiveness. Let's do it in 2019, as you can plan it. Cities are fighting for talent. They want them all, and every city wants one campus, maybe TEDxDenHelder as well. It's not going to work. We're pushing ourselves down the drain. But I think that technology on the one hand and design on the other hand will help us. And I promise you, and I show you why. The Netherlands wants to be in the top 3 of most innovative countries in the world. But what is innovation? It's not a small adaptation, and it's not a big invention. It's the whole world in between those two. So it gives you a rest, there's a whole world to innovate on. But when this innovation arises, it arises when knowledge is shared. Expected and unexpected. And when you take the word knowledge, we can say, okay, we have explicit knowledge, like data, recipes, Google, everything which can be written or programmed, it's explicit knowledge. On the other hand, you have tacit knowledge. It's untangible, you can't touch it. It's your experience, your gut feeling, your attitude, your experience. And I think that we should design for those brains coming together on the tacit level. I promised that technology would help us on the one hand and design on the other hand. Let's talk about technology. We have deep learning, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality. Everything is there. And it's all making the distinction between the explicit knowledge and the tacit knowledge even bigger. Tacit knowledge becomes explicit. It took you years of experience to know how long it took to drive from Eindhoven to TEDxDenHelder when you were in the 80s. Today, it takes you one view on your smartphone to know, oh, I have to leave, and I don't have to take the A2, I will drive by Rotterdam to prevent or to go away from the traffic. Tacit knowledge, experience how to drive, becomes explicit. And that gives us time. Remember the fire, the controlling the fire. It was about gaining time, and now it's technology which gives us time. But we're still struggling with it, with that extra time we're getting. But I think that we should use the time we get from technology to share knowledge. I'm an architect, and I strongly believe that design can help us from the level of a chair to a room, to a building, and even a campus, to enhance and to release the human potential. And not just by gut feeling, but by evidence. And later I want to take you on a tour from the room, of the level of one room to the level of a campus, how we try to do it. Let's start small. 100 square meter assignment for a high school in Eindhoven. research shows us that the best ideas are from a partner or a colleague in your same company, but from another department. A school, a high school, a medical high school we worked for, is actually a big company with lots of departments. They had nursing, psycho, 3D printing, physio, podo, imaging. All those departments were there. And they called us to say, can you make us an Explore Lab? A lab where our students can work together with external companies to innovate. And actually already after 2 workshops, we found out that it was not working with the external field. There was a lot to win by working together. So we started with a 100 square meter surface which was available for the Explore Lab, and we asked them, can everybody hand in some square meters that we can make a bigger project? And then we came up to 600 square meters, but everybody was willing to deliver it. And now they have the safety which is that above the door of that Explore Lab, a statement is written, not literally, that you can only come into this room when you bring a friend from another street. You can only come in if you combine nursing with 3D imaging. You can only come in as a student if you combine podo with physiotherapy. And then for 3 months on, you get your student points to go there. It gives them the safety. So there's a lot to win in your own backyard without going outside. And now they know that the companies will follow afterwards. Within 2 or 3 years, we will work together with the companies, but first do our homework and play in our own backyard. Next step, research shows us that the chance that people will meet on a weekly basis drops to almost 0 if the distance between those people is 40 meters. My distance between the one on top and the balconies is more than 40 meters. Our chance to meet on a weekly basis drops to 0. We hook on to this point when we designed an incubator on a campus in Wageningen, where we said those 20 meters are actually the limits of the building, nothing more, still a 40 by 40 building. And we said from that point on, we start to distribute carefully the program into the building. You have to force people to use the building in a certain way by their daily routine. So what we did is we took the mixed program, the program they all have together, meeting rooms, coffee bars, everything that is there, and spread it vertically throughout the building. And every point where the staircase docks, there's one of those rooms. So people are forced to use it. And this has to be curated by the owner. Otherwise, people become lazy and start to do it differently. And I promised that buildings are about expected, unexpected use. And sometimes they call you, can I use your incubator as a place to make wedding photography? Yes, of course, but it's not about innovation. Next step, going to a larger scale. Research, again, shows us that sharing information, that when information becomes complex, we want to do it face-to-face and not digitally. Imagine a hospital. This is about sharing complex information. Those medical professionals facing a hard world, they're meeting a patient who is highly informed, most of the time badly informed because he Googled his disease. On the other hand, they have to deliver tomorrow. We see a hospital at bol.com. If you feel something today or tomorrow, we want to know tomorrow what it is. Bol.com delivers tomorrow, you should deliver tomorrow as well, Mr. the Doctor. So within a day, they have to deliver the diagnosis and the treatment plan. So the speed is very high. And on the other hand, the world in the hospital becomes very complex. We live longer, so we come there with complex cases. So we are now in the first steps of how could you design a hospital when you put knowledge sharing between medical professionals as a central organizing element, and not longer only the patient-centered design. We're just in the beginning to finding out how it could work without disturbing the daily routine of the medical professionals. And let's take it to the last level. We want, in our organizations, that people communicate very good digitally. Now, I can assure you, research shows that people communicate better digital when they keep seeing each other physical, face-to-face. Those two are strongly enhancing each other. We took this one to design a cluster on the Science Park in Leuven for a new mechatronics development. They want to concentrate 1,700 people in 35,000 square meters around the field of mechatronics. And you can make it in one building, so we made 6 buildings of them, but those 6 buildings, when you look on top of them, they seem to be organized in a very traditional urban planning way. But actually every element in there, from the urban planning element, is made that they go to meet and to greet, that they cannot enter or leave the campus without noticing each other. All the entrances of the building are facing each other. They share one bike park, they share one car park, they share one restaurant in the middle of the building, just to make sure that people are aware of each other's presence. And I think that when you're designing for those places, we should design on the daily routine of people. When you want to change it, it won't work. It's just implementing their daily routine. Hey, I'm an architect. Today is about drawing your future. I'm allowed to draw professionally, and maybe sometimes for your future. But at the end, it is just dead mass, those environments. It's only potential energy. And it needs you to release the energy, to make it from potential to kinetic. It needs you to share your ideas. Word spreading. Thank you.